little bit quiet on site because we're not actually open to the public yet. So it will very much private tour for you.
Okay.
Okay. So what we'll do, we'll have to walk around a slightly different way. As particularly as we get to the 18th century was at the absolute heart of... The first one we're looking at here today is HMS Gannet. So HMS Gannet is a Victorian sloop built in 1878. Incredible things inside. The space that you're living in, if you imagine the shape like this, the space you are living in as a crew is this bit here. All of this is around ballast and how you make this. We have a film crew on site at the moment.
Oh,
so
really?
we have called a midwife on site at the moment.
Excellent.
So we genuinely wouldn't exist on the size and scale that we do today without this.
Yeah.
Oh, the helicopter. This one looks straight. A piece of rope being made, you end up with a quarter of a mile of rope. So we would have an awful lot of rope, so we choose to sell it. And
इतिहास जोगा यो अहिले त लिभिङ म्युजियम अनि यो चाहिँ जुन हिस्टोरिक डकयार्ड च्याथम चाहिँ 5 times उनीहरूले यहाँ हेरिटेजलाई प्रिजर्भ गरेको भएर गोल्ड अवार्ड विनर पनि हो
लाख जनताको भर्खर सुरु हुँदैछ ल धन्यवाद
हुन्छ
आशीर्वाद लागिरहोस्
हुन्छ हुन्छ
सुरुमा त हुँदैछ गर्नु त बाँकी छ भर्खर छ धन्यवाद हामी सबैको तर्फबाट हामीले एकदमै ल
धन्यवाद
ल हाम्रा भनेपछि अब बाबुहरूको पिँढा थाम्ने त अवश्य पनि बाबुको पालोमा एउटा अब छोराको पालोमा कुन युगको आउँछ त्यो चाहिँ अब अहिले नै तयारी भइसकेको छ
कहाँनिर दाजु हो
हाम्रो स्विन्डनमै हो होइन
स्विन्डनैमा छ दा तपाईँको ससुराली घर ल यहाँ हजुर ओहो लु हजुर
तपाईँले जे गर्नु भएको छ यो भर्खर सुरु चाहिँ अब संसारभरि फैले चाहिँ यसमा हामी एकदमै आभारी छौँ
धन्यवाद बुवा हजुर ल हाम्रो भाउजूको उहाँ भाउजू हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो आफ्नो दाजुको विशेष भाउजू ओहो थ्याङ्क यू अब हामी अहिले स्विडनमा छौँ केही बेर पछाडि हामी मिडवे हजुर लिन आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ हामी त्यसतर्फ जानेछौँ अझै अब मिडवेतर्फ लाग्यौँ नि त हामी अब स्विडनबाट राति आज अल्ट्रासाउन्डबाट स्विडन आयौँ फेरि अब मिडवेतर्फ लगभग हामीले कति हामीलाई लगभग अब 2-2.5 घन्टा लाग्छ अहिले यहाँको टाइम कति बज्यो हामी अहिले टनेलमा छौँ यो माथि चाहिँ के खोला हो कि समुद्र हो
खोला हजुर मेडवे रिभर भन्छ यसलाई
सिधै सिपबाट लन्डनहरू पुग्छ कि
हजुर थेम्सको उसको नै पानी नै उब्रेको पानी यता आउने हो बेसी
भनेपछि नदी रिभर मुनि
हामी चाहिँ
टनेलमा कुदिरहेको छौँ
युकेमा जस्ट भूकम्प चाहिँ आउँदैन रहेछ
आउँछ कहिले गएको 2007 मा आएको थियो
हो र
त्यति बेला चाहिँ हाम्रो धन गुरुङ चाहिँ पहिलो काउन्सिलर हुनुभएको थियो डक
साइडको चाहिँ यहाँ
अहिले पनि अलिअलि हेर्नु मिल्छ यहाँ त्यो यहाँ चाहिँ पहिला बनाउँथ्यो
ल यो चाहिँ ट्राभलर्समा बस्नुपर्ने छ म चाहिँ हामी मिडवे आइपुग्यौँ नि त भने
ल खाना पनि खाँदैन भन्नुभयो यही झार्ने
म त यहीँ नै
खाना त खानु हुँदैन
किनभने म त खाना खाइवरी नै आएको फेरि बिचमा त्यत्रो अनि केएफसी नै
गराउँदै थियो नमिठो होस् मैले खाना फेरि त्यहाँ हुँदै थियो
फेरि त्यस्तो हुँदैन है
ल ट्राभल
यही हो
देब्रेपट्टि दाहिनेपट्टि हेर्नुहोस् न मेरो
ट्राभलर्स भनेको
यता दाहिनेपट्टि हो यहीँनिर तपाईँले भोलि भएर भिजिट गर्ने बिहान
ट्राभलर्स भनेको चाहिँ यो होटेल
यो सेट होइन
क्लिप पर्थ्यो अनि पानी जहाजहरू कसरी बनाउँथ्यो
यो चाहिँ डक साइड हो सर त्यो
डक साइड हजुर
कसले त्यहाँ गाइड गर्छ हामीलाई
तपाईँलाई चाहिँ डिप्युटी चिफ एक्जिक्युटिभ योको तपाईँको चाथाम डक साइडको उहाँले चाहिँ एक्सक्लुसिभली तपाईँलाई एक्सक्लुसिभ भनेको थाहा छ
ल भोलि
विशेष तपाईँको लागि
डक साइड बिहानै मेयर साहबलाई यहाँनिर
अरूहरू पनि आएको हुँदैन अरू
भिजिट गराउने कुरा छ
हुँदैन
अँ,
त्यति बेला चाहिँ तपाईँको लागि मात्रै खोलिदिने हो किनभने तपाईँ चाहिँ फेरि समयमा उता
ए यो चाहिँ अहिले के म्युजियम जस्तो भएको छ यो
म्युजियम हजुर
ए
अनि यहाँ चाहिँ वर्षेनी तपाईँको लाखौँ भिजिटरहरू आउँछ यहाँ चाहिँ
अँ,
पैसा चाहिँ कति 28 पाउन्ड कि कति तिर्नुपर्छ एकपटक भिजिट गरेको तर उहाँलाई चाहिँ अब जस्ट यहाँको हाम्रो प्रबन्धकहरूले नै को आउनुभयो
म मात्र आएको छु
ए
म मात्र आएको छु चित्र चाहिँ भोलि बिहानै उता लन्डनमा भेट्छौँ उहाँको
ए हो, ल।
appointment रहेछ कि
पाकिस्तानबाट आउनु भएको छ हाम्रो महासर
के ड्रिङ्क खानुहुन्छ के भयो
ल सम्पूर्णमा गुड मर्निङ हिजो बेलुका हामी आइपुगेको थियौँ मिडवे र म चाहिँ यो ट्राभल लजमा बसेको थिएँ मेरो साहब अर्कै ठाउँमा हुनुहुन्थ्यो र अब हामी चाथन डग सर के अरे ठाउँको नाम जाने हाम्रो डक साइड अब त्यसतर्फ जाँदैछौँ त्यो चाहिँ कस्तो हो त्यो अलिकति भनिदिनुहोस् न
यो चाहिँ यहाँ पहिला चाहिँ युकेको नेभीहरू जलसेनाको लागि चाहिँ न्युक्लियर सबमेरिनहरू अनि पानी जहाजहरू बनाउने ठाउँ हो
हजुर
तर अहिले डिकमिसन भए पछाडि चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ अहिले चाहिँ पर्यटकीय स्थलको रूपमा
त्यसलाई रूपान्तरित गरियो
हजुर यसले रूपान्तरण गरेर चाहिँ
हजुर
यहाँ चाहिँ वर्षेनी लाखौँ भिजिटरहरू चाहिँ आएर भ्रमण गर्नुहुन्छ
ओहो
अनि आज तपाईँहरूले चाहिँ स्पेसली हाम्रो मेयरज्यूको उको लागि चाहिँ भ्रमण अवलोकनको लागि चाहिँ यहाँको डिप्टी चिफ एक्जिक्युटिभ नै आफै उहाँलाई लिएर घुमाउनु हुँदैछ यहाँ चाहिँ अब 9 बजे पछाडि मात्रै खोल्छ 9:30 बजे पछाडि मात्रै तर उहाँलाई चाहिँ उहाँकै लागि भनेर चाहिँ बिहानै खोलिदिइरहेको छ
अरू पब्लिकहरू नआइ नै
हजुर
सुरुमै घुमाइहाल्ने
ए अब भनेपछि अहिले मेरो साहब मात्रै घुम्नुहुन्छ ओहो
उहाँको लागि मात्रै त्यो पनि
हजुर
डिप्टी चिफ एक्जिक्युटिभले नै घुमाउने हो उहाँलाई चाहिँ अब यो
खुसीको कुरा
हजुर उहाँको चाहिँ अब लोकप्रियता चर्चा नेपालमा जुन छ जुन लेभलको छ अनि त्यसले चाहिँ यहाँको पर्यटन व्यवसायलाई पनि बढावा दिने टेवा दिने
हजुर
पोर्टफोलियो पनि बन्ने त्यसले गर्दाखेरि पनि उहाँहरूले चाहिँ विशेष अनुरोध गरेर हाम्रो मेयरज्यूको चाहिँ उपलब्धतालाई चाहिँ मध्यनजर गरेर चाहिँ नत्र भने त अहिले बिहानै त
त्यही त
गाह्रो हुने हो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि
ओके
उहाँको सम्मानको लागि चाहिँ उहाँहरूले बोलाउनु भयो अनि अब हामीले पनि उहाँलाई सोधेर
हजुर
ठिकै छ भन्नुभयो मेयरज्यूले अनि हजुरहरू पनि आज आइराख्नु भएको छ
यसलाई त्यो ठाउँ भनेको यही अगाडि छिरहेको छौँ हामीले
सिपहरूलाई चाहिँ तपाईँको
बाँध्ने
एङ्करहरू
हजुर
एङ्करको ऊ हो तपाईँको
ए चेन ल हेर्नुहोस्
डक गरेर राख्नु पानीको समुद्रको अथवा छेउमा राख्नुको लागि
नबगोस् भनेर होइन त बाँधेर राख्न
यस्तो बाङखुरे हलो जस्तो देखि राख्नु भएको छ होला नि
हजुर
त्यो चाहिँ यहाँ देखेको छैन त्यो चाहिँ हो
ठुलो सिपहरू बाँधेर राख्ने यो साङ्लो भनौँ न होइन चाथम
द हिस्टोरिक डकयार्ड चाथम दिएर हजुर यहाँ माथि इन्ट्रान्सको अगाडि चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ देख्न सक्नुहुन्छ
द हिस्टोरिक डकयार्ड चाथम हो ओके
चाथम
नमस्कार हजुर
He's the Deputy Chief Executive here at Historic Dockyard,
Oh,
and
okay.
he's the Honourable Mayor of Dharan Sub-Metropolitan City in Nepal, Marcus Ampanji.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're honoured to have you here today, so thank you for taking the time to come and see us.
Thank you.
And today, Paul and the Historic Dockyard Chatham team have organised this exclusive tour just specifically for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
So it will feel a little bit quiet on site because we're not actually open to the public yet, so it will be very much private tour for you.
Okay.
Okay. So what we'll do, we're gonna have to walk around a slightly different way, and we'll take a bit of a tour and show you everything that we've got to offer in this amazing place. Okay.
Good idea?
Yeah.
Follow me.
Honors.
Alive or not? Is that
If you want to, you can. That's not a problem. I don't mind. Just as you walk, I'll give you a little bit of history about this place. So, the dockyard that we're on today has existed here for the best part of just over 400 years. So we currently look after what is 400 years of history and tradition with the Royal Navy here at Chatham. So we're gonna walk through the site, and we're gonna effectively start at the oldest part and then sort of travel through time and get to the newest part, which is kind of where we are today. The history of this place really started, as I say, about 400 years ago, but really started to build in terms of its reputation and its standing as a centre for shipbuilding following an action in 1667. So the River Medway, you can see the castle just across the river there.
yes?
Sorry. So there was an action in 1667 where the Dutch fleet actually invaded this country, and they did it by sailing up this river. The castle was built as part of the defences of this place because we had the fleet saved at this place. The Dutch invaded, sailed off with about half of the Royal Navy's fleet, ransacked the dockyard itself, and it was a huge embarrassment for the British Crown, for the people, and it was one of the actions that really started to spearhead the development of the Royal Navy here, particularly in the UK, but specifically Chatham, and hence Chatham became one of the real homes of shipbuilding for this country, which enabled us to build a Royal Navy as an island nation, which then sailed the world and led to hundreds of years of naval supremacy for this country. It led to this place being at the forefront of shipbuilding technology, and we'll learn a bit of that as we walk through. The dockyard itself, as it expanded, became a huge site, so we look after what is about 80 acres. The dockyard site originally, before it closed, spanned almost everything that you can see in front of you. That all got redeveloped when the site closed. Okay. What we'll do is we'll start walking in, and we can start looking at some of the buildings. And if you have lots of engagements. So the dockyard itself became, particularly as we get to the 18th century, was at the absolute heart of shipbuilding technology. And as we get to some of the famous stories that this country tells around HMS Victory, Lord Nelson, Battle of Trafalgar, all of those sorts of things, the age of sail starts to come to an end. So the big wooden sailing ships starts to make way for new technology, for iron, for steam, the Industrial Revolution. And Chatham became a lot more difficult when we started to look at that particular era of history. The river itself became quite challenging in terms of launching huge ironclad ships, and And this place then started to look at how it shifts its focus into developing other technologies. So, in particular, we started to focus as submarines started to become more in the forefront. We started to become one of the centres for submarine technology. Do watch your feet as we walk along here. There's a lot of cobble floor things on the floor. So right through the First World War and the Second World War, this place really started to look at how we build submarines all around the world. And that kept going right up until really 1962, where we built the last submarine for the Royal Navy here at Chatham, which is a submarine called HMS Ocelot, which we're going to see in a moment because we actually have it here today. Really, really significantly, we still have the last ship built here at Chatham. And then from 1962 onwards, this site didn't really build ships anymore. It was more around refitting and repair of old ships, right up until the late 1970s. And in 1978, 1979, the British government took the decision to close one of its big, there were at the time 3 dockyards in this country. There was this place, there was Portsmouth on the south coast, and there was a place called Devonport in Plymouth, which is in the southwest of the country. They took the decision to close Chatham primarily for economic reasons. So at the time, Chatham was 30 miles from London, had a thriving industrial sort of landscape, relatively affluent in that sort of respect. Portsmouth and Plymouth in particular didn't have a huge amount of industry outside of shipbuilding. So that decision to close Chatham was primarily led through economics in that respect. The place actually closed as an operational dockyard in 1984, and it had a huge impact on the Medway teams that we're in today. So there's all sorts of estimates of the numbers of jobs that were lost, and it's not just the jobs that were lost directly for people working here, it's also all of those industries that were outside of our walls that were feeding in to supporting this place. But that's kind of where our story begins in terms of who we are today. So, we today are Chatham Historic Dockyard Trust. We are a charity. We open up into where we are today. And we were set up by the government upon the closure of the dockyard to look after about 1/5 of what was the original dockyard site. We were set up primarily because of the age and relevance of buildings today. So, we have on this site what we call 47 ship bench monuments, so the highest protection of buildings that you can find in this country. 47 of those that we look after. That's the highest concentration on a site of this size and scale anywhere in the country. So in terms of its historical significance, it is genuinely huge in that respect. We were set up as a charity, 1, to look after those buildings, but 2, tell people about the story of this place and the story of the Royal Navy here at Chatham and its significance to the River Medway itself. And that's where our journey began 40 years ago this year, and it's been a long journey, and we'll continue on and have a look at some of the things that we do today. The site looking at here today is HMS Gannet. So HMS Gannet is a Victorian sloop built in 1878. She is both steam and sail powered, so you can see the masts for sails, but you can also see the funnel in the middle. So she had a steam boiler as well, so she was also steam powered. She was a kind of a hybrid and really marks that transition between the romantic age of sail and the Industrial Revolution and how technology was starting to change in the world. She wasn't actually built here in Chatham. She was built in HMS Dockyard, which is about 10-15 miles down the coast from here. We acquired her in the late 1980s, and the Gannet that you see today is not the Gannet that we acquired. So she became a training ship, so all of the masts were taken off, and she had a big box system that she was used as accommodation for decades, and that's the state that we acquired her in. Today, what we've gone through is a process of restoration and preservation to restore the ship back to its Victorian splendour and grandeur. Would you like to have a look on board?
Yeah?
Yeah?
Let's do that. Preserve गरेको थियो होइन जेनेरेसन्सलाई प्लस टुरिस्टहरू ल्याउनु पनि सहयोग हो नि
ल यो HMS Gannet यो बोट अब हामी बोटतर्फ जाँदैछौँ बोट भन्दा पनि यो त पानी जहाजै भन्नु पर्यो होला
300 volunteers that do all sorts of things for us, and we genuinely couldn't do everything we do without our volunteer workforce. We won't go too far on board. We've got the guys working on
Morning, welcome to HMS Gannet. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Morning.
Morning. Morning.
Morning. So we're currently at the moment doing some work on the poop deck, replacing the decking, which is what our volunteers are currently working on at the moment. But yeah, we've got about 300 volunteers that do all sorts of stuff across the site, whether it's looking after our ships, running our railway, doing historical research, that sort of thing. So the story of Gannet as a ship is one of kind of the end of the Victorian era. She played a huge role in assisting the Royal Navy. Following the abolition of the slave trade, she would patrol the waters around Africa, ensuring that slave ships weren't leaving the Africas and heading over to the Americas. So upon the abolition of the slave trade, this ship played a really, really strong role in how that barbaric act was actually stopped across the world. Her motto as a ship is deeds, not words, and you can see it across the ship's wheel up there. And that really,
as I was explaining to you early on about the Honourable Mayor,
yeah,
that rings true, isn't it? All the good things that he's done,
yeah,
not just words, but about proving through your deeds that you can make positive change and inspire the whole generation. So yeah,
no, absolutely,
it rings true for you.
No, and I think it's a phrase that it always rings really true to all of us. That, and we see that on this ship all the time, and it means a lot, not just to the history of this ship, but actually the role that we can all play in safeguarding heritage and what we do in our communities and how we can change these sorts of spaces. Okay, I'm conscious of time, so we'll keep walking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to take a picture in front of the ship.
Yeah.
यसको हिस्ट्री यहाँ रहेछ नेसनल हिस्टोरिक फ्लाइट
We won't go on board Ocelot, it'll take quite a bit of time. But this, as I was saying to you earlier, this is the last ship built here for the Royal Navy at Chatham, so she has particular significance. She was built right at the heart of the Cold War, so 1962. A lot of her service history is still quite heavily classified and comes under our Official Secrets Act, but her primary role was providing security for our nation at the height of the Cold War and the tensions with the USSR at the time. Today, she's restored as an example of a diesel-powered submarine. So she's diesel, not nuclear-powered. And quite incredibly, I don't know if you've ever been onto a submarine, but they're quite incredible things inside. The space that you're living in, if you imagine the shape like this, the space you are living in as a crew is this bit here. All of this is around ballast and how you make a submarine float and rise within the water. So you would have had a crew of anywhere up to 60 men living on board that vessel at anywhere up to 6 months.
Submarine रहेछ यो
Love to go inside. It was fun, yeah. So the other really amazing fact about the submarine is the last commander, Admiral Sir Traversor, is now the chairman of this historic dockyard trust. And he is an amazing person as well who attends all of our events.
He does. No, we're very fortunate to have him as our chairman. Yeah, he's had a very distinguished career in the Royal Navy. He has a particular fondness for HMS Ocelot as actually his first command. So he has a particular fondness for this particular vessel. One of if you
yourselves might want to take a picture in front of the submarine.
Yeah, sure. We have a film crew on site at the moment.
Oh, really?
We have Paul the Midwife on site at the moment.
Oh,
so
excellent.
I'll come on to that in a moment.
There you go. You're telling me you're Paul the Midwife one. You're telling me
Perfect timing. We'll talk about it now then. So, one of the things that we're increasingly starting to become as a site is a major filming location. So we're blessed with this amazing environment, original buildings, cobbled streets, and it is becoming really appealing for film crews to use this place. So we film things from Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, strange conversations about having Tom Cruise landing a helicopter on the square. So we've had some interesting ones, through to major TV series. One of the most popular ones is something called Medway, which is a show that's very popular in this country and around the world, actually. I think it's sold all around the world now. Yes. We've been the home of Call the Midwife as a location for about 13 years now, so a long time.
So popular.
They're with us on a very regular basis. They may even be with us at the moment.
You're very lucky. Yeah, you've come at the right time.
But we've done our best to try and capitalise on that as a tourist attraction. So as we walk around, I'll talk a little bit more about how we operate as an organisation today. But one of our major concerns is we are a visitor attraction here in the museum. But increasingly more and more people are visiting us because of our links with the film industry and the fact that this place has been seen in so many different films, TV shows, even music videos, that sort of thing. So we teamed up with the team that made Call the Midwife, the production company, to create the official Call the Midwife location tour, which then has enabled us to put another 10,000 visitors a year into this place that have come specifically to see the home of where this amazing TV show that they know and love is filmed. It's another string to our bow that actually helps us think about our sustainability as an organisation. So we're now going to move on to our next historic ship. This is HMS Cavalier. Cavalier is an extremely significant ship to us. I have quite a personal connection to Cavalier because my grandfather served on ships just like Cavalier, so I have a real personal connection to the ship. Cavalier is significant. She was built right at the end of the Second World War. She was built on the Isle of Wight, which is a tiny little island just off the south coast here in the UK. And she was one of 93 emergency war destroyers built at the end of the Second World War. So ships like this were protecting convoys across the Atlantic, vital supply routes between countries, and ships like this were being sunk at a really alarming rate by German U-boats. They're very heavily armed, they're really fast and manoeuvrable, but they're not very heavily armoured. So they pack a huge punch, but they don't withstand an awful lot of bombardment, so they were sunk at a really alarming rate. Hence 93 of these were built right at the end of the war, and Cavalier is one of those. She's really significant today because she is the national memorial to destroyers lost during the Second World War. So Cavalier, along with the bronze monument that you can see just to your right there, represent 143 ships just at this time alone lost during the Second World War, and a total of 11,000 lives that were lost just on this particular type of ship. So whilst an amazing example of a Second World War ship, she's really poignant for us as that reminder of sacrifice during the Second World War, the hardships that people endured all around the world, and kind of that the challenge and the difficulty of conflict. So she's particularly significant in that respect. She forms the key part of any kind of remembrance or commemorative services that we look at when we remember those that have given their sacrifices in service of their country and its world.
There's also an HMS Gurkha at the background.
There is indeed.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
I remember I brought all the banners.
You're going to know exactly where it is.
Oh, there it is.
We found
One of
it.
the top three.
Yes, there you go. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think there's actually been a few HMS Gurkhas, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think this is the only one, because if a ship was lost,
Yeah.
they would often, the name would sometimes get recycled.
Oh, right.
Because there are a couple of names on this monument.
Yeah.
They appear
HMS
here,
Gurkha,
and then sadly they also appear.
गोर्खा पनि रहेछ माथि
Yes.
गोर्खा छ
So,
वहाँ
yeah, Brazilians.
गोर्खा
HMS Gurkha
पहिला थियो हाम्रो पनि
is the destroyer, okay?
त्यस्तै थियो हाम्रो
Where the heck?
So these are the names of the destroyers that were lost during the Second World War. So this is the list of 143 ships that were lost. So HMS Gurkha being one of those ships that was lost in 1942.
Now this HMS Ocelot has been a fantastic filming venue also for the Medway, as well as Hollywood films and Bollywood films as well, because
Yes.
we had Akshay Kumar and his film production crew that came here. It was a really good film as well, isn't it?
We've actually had quite a few Bollywood productions. We're starting to gain a bit of a reputation in that industry at the moment. So we've been fortunate to have, I think, about 4 or 5 different productions actually. And Cavalier itself has actually starred in it, and I can't remember the name of the production now, but it was an amazing sight to see. It was fully crewed with,
Yeah.
beautifully
remember watching it.
beautiful white uniforms, and a cast of, must have been a good couple of hundred people up there. It was absolutely incredible watching it. It was a huge
And amongst
production.
the cast, maybe you don't know this, Paul, was some of our Gurkha veterans.
Really?
Who
No, I didn't
who
know
volunteered to become cast members.
Wow,
So,
no,
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
And they live here in Medway as well. So part of Gurkha Police Community Medway.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Actually. I had assumed the cast had come with the crew.
I think they recruited quite a few. Amongst them were Gurkha veterans, which is amazing.
Oh, fantastic. So, as we continue to walk through the site, it might be quite a nice time to pick up how we operate as an organisation now. So, running this place as a tourist attraction, which welcomes around 160,000, 170,000 people every year, is fantastic. It helps us fulfil what we need to do as a charity, but it doesn't generate enough income on its own to sustain this place. This is quite, looking after expensive buildings and expensive ships is quite a costly exercise. So we
keeping it new.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'll let you do that, and I'll carry on when you're.
Yeah.
Come here, Val.
Of course, you're the main character.
Oh, I'm by far the main character.
अनि माथिबाट खिच्नुहोस् न माथिबाट गर्नु
Today, we have to think about how we use this incredible site in different ways to generate income to keep us operations and as a charity. So we do that in a number of different ways. We've talked about visitor attractions. We've talked a little bit about film locations. So when films locate with us, they pay us a fee to be here. That helps support us as a charity. There are a couple of other really important facets to how we operate, and one of them is around how we work with businesses around Medway. So we are home to around 140 businesses that choose to locate themselves on this incredible site. So they will rent spaces as small as an office for 2 people, right up to buildings like this one here, the old Clock Tower building, which is currently occupied by the University of Kent. So our business tenants are really diverse, and they run from universities to further education colleges, computer games development companies. We still have a shipbuilder on site. So it's a really, really, really diverse range of organisations that choose to be with us. But importantly, they all pay us a rent to be on this site, and that generates that sustainable income that looks after the site. I'll just pause here very, very quickly, because this is one of the more unusual things that we do. So one of the things you might have noticed is a railway line that runs through the site. So moving things around the full dockyard site whilst operational required huge heavy lifting, and most of that was done with a railway, which is still operational today. So this railway is run entirely by volunteers. So we have an entire volunteer workforce that keeps this railway operational, and we run it. We don't carry passengers, we show it in its original form, so how it would have been working as a freight system.
यहाँ त ट्रेन पनि रहेछ नि त
Yes, I heard about your incredible story. Quite the feat.
Trying.
He has achieved something that a lot of other leaders have not achieved in a long, long time. Particularly remarkable also because it's through volunteerism.
Yeah. I think finding a way where if you can find a way to unite people to give, because actually people giving their time is really precious. And we know this ourselves as a charity. Actually, if people volunteer their time and more importantly their skills, actually the huge amount that you can achieve is testament to that. So we genuinely wouldn't exist on the size and scale that we do today without this. Oh, the helicopter.
This one looks.
It's unusual, isn't it? So this is a Dragonfly helicopter. These were flown off of ships because they're quite small, quite agile. In fact, our former chairman, a gentleman called Sir Ian Garnett, learned to fly these in the Royal Australian Navy. So he had a particular affinity to this because he actually flew one of these. They're quite unusual. I don't actually recall actually seeing another one around, so they're quite weird.
They are unusual, isn't it?
Interesting fact, what we have here is a bit of a car park which services those businesses that I mentioned earlier that we have on site. But this was originally a helipad. So that's why we keep the helicopter here. It doesn't look, it looks more like a car park today. Where some of the oldest buildings of the dockyard still reside with us today. We won't go in there today, but one of the most significant as we walk past it is Commissioner's House. We can see on the left-hand side. So Commissioner's House is the oldest intact naval building in the country. It was built in between 1703 and 1704 and was the private residence of the Dockyard Commissioner. So if you think the CEO of the dockyard. So this is where they would reside, this is where they would work as well with their families. The house we have today is used primarily as a wedding venue and a hospitality venue, but we are looking as we go over the course of the next couple of years at how we create greater public access to that building, how we can get more people in it. And we're just about to enter an extensive period of restoration on this house, particularly on the roof. So the building needs a new roof. After about 125 years, it's due to have some quite severe maintenance. So we're going through that process in the next year or so. The collection of buildings you can see in front of you form primarily, particularly here on the left-hand side, what we call the rotary complex. So the production of rope was a huge industry for ships, particularly during the age of sail, but even after the age of sail. And producing rope for the length that you need for a ship, for rigging, for anchoring a ship at harbour, is incredible. And to make a huge piece of rope, you effectively need a huge piece of equipment, huge bits of machinery, as we were talking about Victorian style machinery here, and hence a huge building to look after it. And we'll just quickly pop in, and we obviously won't walk all of it, so I don't think we've got time, but we'll pop ahead in so you can see the size and scale of the buildings that we're working to. So the rotary itself, the building is about 1/4 mile long. It's 1/4 mile long because the Navy Board deemed that they needed to make rope at the longest 1/4 mile or 40 fathoms, which is how they refer to it. And that required a long stretch where you could actually produce that piece of rope, which required to build on 1/4 mile. I'm hoping the door should be open, which it is. We'll pop our heads in and have a quick look. Good morning, Derek. Thank you. Just do come in. So I wanted to bring you in here because it's an incredible space, and it has a real atmosphere to it, and it's whether it's the size and scale or even the smell. Yeah. Because it has quite a distinctive smell. If you stand just here, sir, you can get an idea of the size and scale of this building. So that is 1/4 mile in length. We still make rope on this rope walk today. So we took a conscious decision to keep the skill of traditional Victorian rope making alive today. And we have a team of 4 master rope makers who continue to make rope using machinery that dates back, in some cases, including this piece here, that dates back to 1812, to still make rope commercially. And we sell this rope all around the world. So we've set up a separate trading company that sells all this rope, and we do it to demonstrate rope making to our visitors. The challenge with that is that every time you demonstrate a piece of rope being made, you end up with 1/4 mile of rope. So we would have an awful lot of rope, so we choose to sell it. And it still rigs tall ships, but it's used quite heavily in the film and theatre industry. The gym industry is a big industry for us as well. So I don't know if you've seen battle ropes, so 2 big ropes that we can do this with. We have
यस्तो ठुलो यो जुन छ नि हैन यो बनाउने ठाउँ रहेछ यहाँ
all around the world. I would never ever recommend setting up a business using Victorian machinery because it's horrifically inefficient.
It looks so nice though when
It's incredible. And that's exactly why we do it.
Yeah.
Because as a business, it makes no money. No money at all. We cover our cost in doing it, but that's not why we do it.
Yeah.
Why we do it is to show people how rope making happens and how it works in a Victorian way. And it is the way that brings this building to life. So when the machines fire up, and you've seen it before, Nina, haven't you? It just creates that evocatism of a working dockyard. And it's the one place that we can still do it today. But I did want to take
brings
some...
it alive, isn't it? Last year when I was the mayor, I brought mayors from all across the southeast as well as London boroughs, and they were absolutely fascinated by how rope making is done over here, still the traditional way.
And it's still today one of the most captivating things for our visitors, but also one of the most difficult things to sell, because you don't think of come and watch rope being made as a particularly amazing sell as a visitor attraction, but when you
come,
exactly when you come and you see it, there is something about the senses and the smells. And you can tell from some of the smells in the air that we still try to make rope as much as we can with natural fibres and natural materials. So a lot of rope is made from plastics, and we do still make rope with plastics because that's what the industry is leading to. But we are starting to try and move our clients away from plastics because they last in the environment for a long time. We're thinking about our longer term sustainability and how we move all of our clients onto more natural fibres. So we go to things like coir and coconut and things like that, and how we can produce
in Nepal we do it with jute, isn't it?
Jute is another really good example. But again, going back to those natural fibres, much more sustainable. And it's one of those things, it doesn't happen overnight. It requires a lot of change in culture and the way that global business works ultimately. We have a range of homes. About 400 people live with us and resident with us. So inside these dockyard walls, we are a small town. We have businesses, we have a business visitor attraction, we run a film location, we run a factory making rope, and we're also home to 400 people. So it genuinely is a small town inside the Medway towns itself. We're gonna head back, and before you depart from us, I would like to show you one of our galleries and our fourth historic ship, which you can't see because there's a bit of a story to tell, and I will try and do my best to do it in about 5 minutes because I can go on a bit with that one. But that kind of gives you a bit of a picture and a flavour for who we are today and what we've achieved. I suppose fast forward 40 years from closure, the Dockyard is a key reason that Medway exists as a series of towns on the size and scale that they do today. It was about generating a workforce and housing a workforce that was feeding into this huge industrial machine that was this place. When the Dockyard closed in 1984, it had a huge impact, not just economically, but also that sense of purpose and community pride as well, because Chatham in particular was a navy town. Its identity was supporting the maritime industry and the navy, and when that was taken away, there was a real feeling in the local community that heart had been literally ripped out of the town, if that makes sense. And 40 years on, a key role that we have, and we talked a little bit about what we are here to do as a charity, but increasingly as we start to think about the future and what we're here to do today, we do see ourselves as a key part and anchor within the community of Medway. So in terms of whether it be economic regeneration, sense of pride, sense of culture, history, all of that sort of thing, we still see this place as quite central in doing some of that. So this is a place where it's not just about history, but we also want to be a location, a place where amazing things in Medway happen. So that could be, some examples we've had are running gaming festivals, working with our local council. Absolutely nothing to do with the history of a dockyard, but it's about how we utilise these amazing spaces to bring people together in a place that can celebrate that community pride. So that is kind of how we will start to see ourselves develop and move into the future. And we're really fortunate we have a fantastic relationship with our local authority, Medway Council, and working hand in hand as an independent charity, but working with our local government. We have a huge opportunity to look at how we develop that sense of community pride, that sense of regeneration, and how we can play a role in moving Medway to becoming an amazing place, a centre of technology, a centre of creativity, all of those sorts of things. So we're very proud. That's one of the next challenges.
यो बिल्डिङ त सिपकै सेपमा छ नि त
छ नि त्यहाँभित्र अब यस्तो के छ अब हेर्न आज अलिक भ्याउँदैन होइन
माथिसम्म छ नि त
यो
तलै तल
त्यहाँभित्र हेर्ने त धेरै छ यस्तो सेप्सहरू होइन कसरी सेप्स बनाउँछ अनि कुन एजेसमा कस्तो कस्तो सेपहरू भयो अनि यहाँको लाइफ सेभिङ बोट्सहरू कसरी एस्टाब्लिस भयो त्यो सबै छ कि तर हामी अब फेरि लन्डनतिर जानुपर्ने समय छैन
पुरानो कुराहरूलाई जोगाएर इतिहास जोगाएको रहेछ नि
इतिहास जोगायो अहिले त लिभिङ म्युजियम अनि यो चाहिँ जुन हिस्टोरिक डकयार्ड च्याथम चाहिँ 5 times उनीहरूले यहाँ हेरिटेजलाई प्रिजर्भ गरेको भएर गोल्ड अवार्ड विनर पनि हो अनि युनेस्को वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट पनि हो सो यहाँ त एकदमै हिस्टोरिक कुराहरू होइन अनि उनीहरूले तपाईँले भन्नुभएको जस्तो त्यो सङ्ग्रहालयमा राखेपछि चाहिँ संसारभरिबाट हेर्न पनि आउँछ होइन प्लस अघि उहाँले एक्सप्लेन गर्नुभयो जस्तै यहाँ चाहिँ अब फिल्मिङ लोकेसन पनि हो एकदमै होइन अनि त्यो 13 सिरिज भइसक्यो त्यो कल द मिडवाइफ भनेको त्यो भयो हलिउड बलिउडको फिल्महरू
मिसन इम्पोसिबल कि मिसन के
हो
पनि
नि
यहीँ
टम क्रुज पनि
टम
आएको
क्रुज
थियो
को
हजुर
यहाँ सुटिङ भएको भनेपछि
एकदमै
त
हिजो अस्ति पनि म आउँदाखेरि
हजुर
त्यो अघि हामीले HMS Ocelot भन्दै थियो नि त्यहाँ चाहिँ एउटा हलिउड अब आउनेवाला एकदमै ब्लकबस्टर सुटिङ हुँदै थियो होइन
हजुर हजुर
वार टाइमको
हजुर।
अनि त्यसपछि उतापट्टि चाहिँ फेरि कल द मिडवाइफको सुटिङ भइरहेको थियो कि
ए
सो दिस सो मच गोइङ अन
हजुर
अनि यहाँ चाहिँ फेरि प्राइम लोकेसन भएको हुनाले भित्रपट्टि यहाँ हुने पुरा सेक्युरिटीहरू छ नि त
हजुर
अनि एकदमै राम्रो राम्रो के भन्छ अरे प्राइभेट होम्सहरू पनि छ
हजुर
कि
ए
त्यस्तो छ
ओहो।
अनि पुरा युनिभर्सिटीहरू कलेजेस अनि स्टुडियो आर्टिस्टहरू बिजनेसेसहरू 160वटा छ यहाँभित्र
बाफ्रे
सो डुइङ अमेजिङ जब के हेर्नुहोस् होइन
ल हेर्नुहोस्
आर्यलाईको
हजुर
एउटा म्युजियमै बनाएर
म्युजियमै बनाएको छ है वाह।
The anchor. So this is a ship's anchor. I can't remember which ship this is actually from. One of the things we've tried to do with this site is put things outside that you can get out and touch and use. So you see some of these big bits of machinery out here. Most of those come from here, which is number 1 Medway. Most of the time number 1 Medway is a military museum and it houses quite extensive ship model collections. We work in partnership with 2 major museums here in the UK, so the National Maritime Museum and the Imperial War Museum, both nationally government-funded museums, and we house a huge portion of their collections alongside a temporary exhibition gallery that allows us to change and tell different stories. So one of the stories we told this year is about the RNLI. So the RNLI is a charity in the UK, and they save lives at sea. So they launch lifeboats when people get into difficulty in the water. They're completely non-governmental, they're not political, their remit is to save anybody. So we have so many challenges in the UK, particularly around our waters at the moment, about different people trying to enter the country. The RNLI will save lives at sea regardless of who you are, where you're from, and actually dehumanise is the most important thing in the water. So we took an exhibition to actually celebrate that. Propeller. And as well out of the
At the moment, we have exhibition going on for Ralph Steadman, who is an iconic artist, and he's well known across the world. So, historic Dockyard Chatham is.
It demonstrates the kind of the scale at which we're trying to work within that space. So, trying to bring world-class art. So, as part of that exhibition in there, we've been fortunate to borrow objects from an artist called Picasso. So, having one of the great art masters of Europe displaying their work in that space is really
अनि पिकासोको पनि आर्टवर्क छ त्यहाँ
yeah.
Wow, command of the oceans.
with this at the background, yeah.
Where HMS Cavalier was actually the space that HMS Victory was built, probably one of the most famous ships in the world, currently resides in Portsmouth today. We don't have the real thing. I'm not sure I'd want the real thing when I see the cost of repairing it. But hugely significant ship. We have this amazing model, which was actually secured from a pizza parlour in America, and it was originally a film model. But fantastic. Rebuild or not?
युकेको लडाइँहरूमा सबैभन्दा हजुर perhaps one of the most revered and decorated general होइन नेल्सन भन्नु उहाँ चाहिँ HMS Victory Battle of Trafalgarको लागि एकदमै फेमस हुनुहुन्छ हजुरले Trafalgar Square भनेर लन्डन जानुहुन्छ नि that's from Battle of Trafalgar commemorate गरेको होइन so HMS Victory चाहिँ भन्ने बित्तिकै ब्रिटेनसँग सम्बन्ध छ ब्रिटेनको हिस्ट्रीसँग सम्बन्ध छ होइन अनि यो चाहिँ यहाँ हाम्रो Chatham हिस्टोरिक डकयार्डमा बनाएको थियो त्यति बेला होइन अनि यहाँ चाहिँ एकदमै धेरै यस्तो ब्याटल सिप्सहरू मेन्टेन गर्न रिपेयर गर्न आउने अनि यहाँबाट फेरि बिदाइ भएर जाने के भन्छ लडाइँको लागि जाने होइन त्यसले गर्दा यो चाहिँ यदि कोही व्यक्ति अब युकेको नेभल हिस्ट्रीसँग परिचित हुन चाहनुहुन्छ अथवा उहाँहरूलाई केही बुझ्ने इच्छा छ भने Chatham हिस्टोरिक डकयार्ड चाहिँ छुटाउनै नहुने ठाउँ हो अनि हजुर अनि यस्तो हजुरलाई चाहिँ देखाउन पाउँदा होइन हामी एकदमै खुसी छौँ यहाँ मेडवेवासीहरू
So we'll take a picture in front of
HMS Victory,
Okay.
and then we need to maybe proceed towards London. Maybe if we stand over there, you can get the whole thing.
Very nice.
Lovely, yeah. हजुर पनि खिच्नुहुन्छ कहिले
यो टिम्बरहरू
त्यही त सबै काठै काठ छ हौ यहाँनिर
सो एकदमै प्रसिद्ध छ नेभल
टुरिस्टहरू त कति आउँछ
अनि हजुर अनि यो छ नि हाम्रो Chathamमा बनेको सिप्सहरू होइन अनि अहिले हजुरले भन्नुभयो जस्तै प्रिजर्भ गरेर राखेको एज अफ सेल भन्छ त्यति बेलाको पिरियडको जुन सिप्सहरू बनाएको थियो नि त्यसमध्ये सबैभन्दा भास्ट सबैभन्दा वेल प्रिजर्भ चाहिँ यो Chatham हिस्टोरिक डकयार्डको लागि भनिन्छ कि
1579 देखिको Chatham built ships of the age of sail and better 1879 to 1832 बाफरे त्यो टाइमदेखि बनेका सिपहरू रहेछ बाफरे
The Franco-Spanish fleet had 6 more ships and almost 5
हामीले Chathamको यो सम्पूर्ण तपाईँहरूलाई देखायौँ यहाँको सिपहरू र अब हामी यहाँबाट चाहिँ यो त युनेस्को वर्ल्ड हेरिटेजमा पनि यसलाई चाहिँ सूचीकृत भएको रहेछ र एकदमै फङ्सनिङ सिप्स टु क्लियर सबमेरिन्स सम्पूर्ण दृश्यहरू हेरेर अवलोकन गरेर हामी फर्कँदैछौँ अब
Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Chatham Historic Dockyard उहाँले यो गिफ्ट दिनुहुन्छ
So this book tells the story of our development as an organisation, how we turned this former naval site into what you see today. So I hope you enjoy that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
you got a little piece of paper that the Americans give a note?
This is your logbook or something like that.
No, we don't actually have one. Actually.
Postcard or something that the American
We
just
can do
put a
something.
small note.
There, if that's okay.
Yeah?
Have you got a pen?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Right,
अनि यहाँ हजुरले नानीहरू होइन मम्मी नानीहरू देख्नु भयो नि यहाँ फेरि कम्युनिटी इभेन्टहरू पनि गर्नु
साथीहरू हामीले द हिस्टोरिक डकयार्ड चाथमको भ्रमण अवलोकन गऱ्यौँ एकदमै आफ्नो इतिहासलाई जोगाएको रहेछ ब्रिटेनले र साह्रै राम्रो पर्यटन गन्तव्य बनेको रहेछ
St. John Park
real pleasure to meet you. Enjoy the rest of your time in the UK and have a safe journey back to the Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
मेरो लानु के भनेको
होइन